understand what's going on inside of their body, and then we use music and voice to stimulate what's below the surface. So with the polyvagal theory and the understanding of this nerve that starts behind the ear, way up here, travels down through the neck and chest and into all of our internal organs, when you have a gut feeling about something, it's related to that vagus nerve. And so we can shift our state as we become aware of what's going on in our body. And so here is a ladder, and I've often used this with people. I get them started with the listening therapy, and all of a sudden they feel it in their stomach. They're like, what's happening? Why is this affecting me here? And it's that vagus nerve is starting to activate parts of the nervous system that were just dormant. They were stuck. And then the idea is to move the person up, and through continuous sound, voice, the music through it with a Mozart, we begin to now activate the top part of the vagus nerve, which helps us engage with the world and respond to things that are difficult. And we don't have to stay in this over here sympathetic state all the time. We can move up into ventral, but we're not always in ventral. We'll go down and we'll have our rest and isolation time, but then we come up again. So a healthy vagus nerve is constantly moving. So here is a picture of myself with the words, lift your voice and your voice will lift the world. What is very evident is we are not speaking as much anymore. Even just before coming into this webinar, I had a student approach me and say, can you help me with public speaking? My voice is always shaky whenever I have to talk. And I said, yes, I can help you. And so helping people understand, what is it that's missing? If not, my voice is actually contributing to that shakiness. So I need to use it more. So yeah, that's that. Here in the last webinar, we had included some tips about, how our particular therapy impacted people. And so at the beginning, I said voice, breath, and posture. And so you can see on the right-hand side, things like humming, breath work, breathing in and then extending your breath out. These are things that support that vagus nerve. Now the music is supporting the vagus nerve as well. And so you see at the bottom here, safe and sound protocol. That is a 5-day listening therapy that I would start every person on before we went into greater lengths with listening. It's quite amazing to recognize this information and how it's all automatic, but yet we can have influence. Although we don't tell our heart to beat or our lungs to breathe or our stomach to digest food, and yet these processes happen every day. So as we care for the state of our bodies through a regular breathing practice, moving the individual muscles of our body, utilizing the sound of our own voice, resetting our nervous system with different types of music, we can experience a flourishing life and share it with others. So for yourself, you're here listening to this, there's a lot of science behind it. It's a lot to take in. But if you think about what are the things that I'm experiencing right now, and this girl, the student who said to me, I feel shaky when I have to speak in public, there are things that we can do to strengthen that through the music therapy. So you see this 3 zones chart. The zone 1 is listening to music between 125 and 750 hertz. And that will it will start to build up your sense of balance, your rhythm, your coordination, and so on. In the middle zone, that's our communication zone. If you're struggling with speaking up in public or even enunciating, children learning to speak, that is the zone to target. And then the third zone, we're higher frequency music. That is the first to go as we get older. And so through this bone conduction music, over a period of time, we're able to re-stimulate the areas where there is a deficit. So my last slide was just the fact that the sound therapy is delivered to the home, and it can be through your phone, and all members of your family can benefit. So when one person is stressed in the household, we're running our own business, we have our children around, we can put a set of headphones on a child and know that there's some therapy that's going on. So that in a nutshell is what I'm doing at Rewired Learning. Thank you.
That was fantastic. So the next person I would like to introduce is Catherine Morton. She's the owner of Pain Management and Wellness Solutions. So she graduated with certification from Animal Bowen in 2017. Following that, she took a course in Bowen therapy, and bear with me, I'm going to say this as best I can, myoskeletal therapy, and McLaughlin scar tissue release, and equine muscular skeletal unwinding in 2018. Your care is her top priority. This is why this pain management and wellness solutions is so important to her. And I'd like to introduce Catherine.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. So I'm going to try and share my screen as well here. So bear with me because I'm not very good at it. Can you see it? Yes? Okay. So I'm the owner of Pain and Wellness Solutions, and I work on people and animals, specifically mostly dogs and horses on the animal side. So just to give a little bit of background of what bone and myoskeletal therapy is, again, it's kind of scientific, and I hope that I can explain it so that everybody can understand. So with Bowen, the technique generates a remedial effect through a number of mechanisms. One of the most important of these is the correction of irritation to the dura mater. And the dura mater is the outer layer that encases the central nervous system. So this is, the idea of this is that structural integrity of the musculoskeletal system and its related structures results in optimum function of the central nervous system. And as we know, with the central nervous system and all of the nerves that come through it, it can affect everything in our body, including our organs. So when this occurs, there will be symmetry of tension or tone on either side of the body. So in the picture, you can see that if you are tight on one side, how the imbalance of the body can cause different pains. You can get headaches and shoulder pain and back pain and knee pain and all kinds of things. So what we try and do is balance the body back. So the specific moves of Bowen initiates a stimuli to the brain and the central nervous system, to all areas of the body, including your muscles, skin, fascia, and internal organs. And this is why between moves, we do pauses before another move is performed, so that the stimuli that's going to the brain can actually get there before we introduce another stimuli. So pain in the body can either cause or be the cause of stress and anxiety. Pain, stress create emotional and physical conditions like pain, disease, headaches. And when this happens, our bodies shut down into that sympathetic mode and say, I need to protect my body. Bowen helps to trigger a whole body healing response by stimulating the nervous system. So it kind of has a ripple effect. So as one move is done, say on the lower back, it can have a ripple effect throughout the entire body. Through assessments, we address the imbalances in the body. It's a holistic hands-on, so we treat the body as a whole. And in my therapy, you can have light clothing on. You don't have to have your clothing off in order to perform this therapy. So once all of this is done, it has a harmonizing and balancing effect on the nervous system. So it creates a balanced structure, which eliminates all the pull on your muscles, fascia, and bones. It reduces and eliminates pain because the body is balanced, and it restores function to the body. It brings more clarity to the mind. It calms the body and the mind for a better sleep. And again, like I said, it restores function to the body. So one thing that we have to understand is that our bodies have an innate ability to heal itself. And all that Bowen does and the myoskeletal therapy is it helps to initiate the body to heal on its own. And that's kind of what Bowen is. Back to you, Bree.
So now you guys all have a kind of an understanding of what each of these three people do and what they offer and how they can essentially help you. Let's dive into a little bit more detail because I did mention some topics that were going to be discussed. So I'm going to dive into Fidel because I know the zero gravity and the magnesium. I know personally I'm a runner and I know the magnesium helps me with my running and especially if I know if I run one day and I don't take my magnesium, I know it really affects my body and my living because I would be in an extreme amount of pain by the next day because I did not take my magnesium. And also to the floating, kind of explain to me a little bit more, Fidel, about how those benefits would help, you know, taking your breaks in like your everyday diet, your sleep, like time yourself, kind of explain a little bit more of that to me.
Hi everybody, Fidel Matthews is back. So we're going to talk about self-care. So my first slide on the screen is about creating a therapeutic bath at home. So what I'd like to do is take my business and bring it into your home. So the first slide is relaxing in mineral-rich steamy water is a restorative ritual found in Japan. Japan is doing a lot of studies on longevity and health and how we can create a better balanced life. So they've done some research and it may be led to a longer life, healthier life, having a bath a day. So baths have been associated with good sleep quality and better perception of one's own health. The journal Health conducted a long-term study which found a daily hot bath is associated with a 28% lower risk of heart disease compared to a once or twice weekly bath or no bath at all. So what they're saying is that, you know, during times of stress and after a long day at work, go home and have a nice bath. My next slide talks about bringing baths from Japan. You don't have to travel to Japan, but bringing it closer to home. So instead of going all the way to Japan, therapeutic water facilities offer a similar experience with warm Dead Sea salt pools, cold plunge pools, and hot Epsom salt float pods and float cabins, which you saw in the beginning of my slide. I have 3 float pods and 1 cabin. So now we can find this in Belleville. We don't have to go to Japan and we don't have to go to big cities to find these float pods or float cabins or nice hot baths. The next is put yourself in the comfort of your own home. So baths can help alleviate stress and anxiety, increase blood circulation, reduce pain and inflammation, relieve muscle tension, and relax the mind and body. So those are things that you can do at home. You don't have to go out and pay for it. And in self-isolation, it's right there. All you need is a bathtub. So there are tips to having a good bath and having a bath that is going to help your situation. So use different temperatures. The body reacts differently to different water temperatures. Warm water opens the pores, relaxes and de-stresses the body. Cold water tightens the skin, tones the muscles, and reduces inflammation. And hot water relieves muscle discomfort by increasing blood flow. So in our tanks, we have all 3 of those covered. So the warm water in the tank is heated at 93.6 degrees, and then you soak in it. You can get out of the pod when you're done. You can have a cool or cold shower. And then, or after the cold shower, you can use hot water to relieve any muscle discomfort. The next slide is don't make it too hot. So recommended not having the water temperature above 40 degrees Celsius. If you've ever been in a hot tub in a hotel or anywhere, you can't stay in there that long because it's too hot. So you end up getting out, sitting on the side. So really hot baths could cause hypertension and lead to dizziness and drop in the blood pressure. So you want to keep your temperature the right temperature. So those tips are important when you create your bath at home. Looks relaxing, huh? The next slide is, most importantly, add stuff to your bath. So you're going to add salts, so magnesium sulfate, and oils, essential oils. So add 1 to 2 cups of therapeutic Dead Sea salt or Epsom salts to a warm bath and soak for at least 10 to 15 minutes. If you just get in there and just, lay in it and just get back out, you're not going to see the benefit of the Epsom salts or the salt in the bath. So Dead Sea salts help ease muscle aches, improve joint mobility, provide relief from skin irritation, and replenish essential minerals. So what we mean by that is therapeutic baths have minerals in them. And in today's world, we're missing some of those minerals from our soil. So having a nice warm bath with those salts in there will replenish those essential minerals. Epsom salts, which we use in our tanks, is magnesium sulfate, and it plays a vital role, and it's involved in 300 biochemical reactions that regulate our health and wellness. Unfortunately, we don't realize how much magnesium is missing from our diets at the moment, and it's also missing from the soil. So even when we eat healthy, we don't always get the amount of magnesium we need in our bodies. So most people do not get enough magnesium in their diet. So eating well is important, and what you don't get from your food, you can get from having a nice bath with Epsom salts at home or come to iFloat. Our float tanks have 49% magnesium, and one thing about magnesium is that it soaks through the skin. So the best form of getting your magnesium allotment is transdermal, which is through your skin. So while you lay in our tanks, you soak up the magnesium, which is 49%. Your skin will feel actually a little bit oily just because the best absorption is through your skin. And while you float, you have no choice but to soak up the magnesium. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the facts about floating. So there are 15 facts about floating. So a lot of people come to me and say, what is floating? What's in your pods? So each pod is filled with 200 gallons of water, and we put 1,000 pounds of Epsom salts in each tank. On a daily basis, we're topping up the salt, we're adding water, and we're testing all the solutions to make sure they are appropriate for the person to go in. So this solution allows the body to relax and float without effort. So if you've ever gone to the Dead Sea is 3%. Our tanks are 30% salt. So we're guaranteed to float. The water is clear. So a lot of people will ask me, how do you clean the tanks? Do you change the water after every person? And the answer is no. And reason being, we have the water quality is tested on a daily basis and every 3 hours. We also have filters. So once we book every person a 2-hour appointment. So you're in the tank for an hour, and then the next hour, the tank is filtered. So it goes through what is called ozonate. So ozonation pumps into the water to disinfect and kill any microorganisms. The next thing is it passes through a UV light, and then it goes through a filter. And our filter, we only need to recycle the water 3 to 4 times. However, we do it about 40 times between each client. So the filtration catches, and then we also add hydrogen peroxide 35% as an extra measure of disinfectant. And also the salt itself is a disinfectant. It's a natural disinfectant. So if you remember years ago when we didn't have refrigeration, we salted our food to keep it from getting bacteria and spoiling. So another thing is people will say, can I fall asleep? So floating is safe, and yes, you can fall asleep. So because of the buoyancy in the tank, when you're laying there, if you fall asleep and you go to turn over, the water is going to flip you right back, and same. So you can fall asleep, and there's no risk of drowning. And then floating is good for you. So studies and research show that floating has incredible physical, mental, and emotional benefits. People float to relieve stress, to recover from injuries, like Brianna was talking about her sore muscles when she goes for a run. When you're laying in the tank, you get the magnesium, which helps with lactic acid buildup. It's good for fighting addiction, eliminate chronic pain. That's a huge thing in my business right now, is chronic pain. And that's because a lot of people haven't been able to get into chiropractic and physio. So a lot of people have back pain generated from stress. So a lot of people are finding back pain relief at the moment at iFloat. Lower blood pressure. Some people come in with high blood pressure. They take their pressure before they go in the tank, and they take it again when they come out, and it usually goes down about 20 beats. Next slide. And floating, a lot of people say, I've never heard of you guys. This is new. And actually, it's not new, because modern floating therapy has been around for 40 years. And it's also backed up by clinical research. Unfortunately, in Canada, we don't do a lot of research on and spend a lot of money on floating, but there's a lot of research done in the States dealing with PTSD, chronic pain. And there's a lot of research, if you want to Google it online, telling you that people have been floating for thousands of years in the Dead Sea. So the Dead Sea, we can bring the Dead Sea to our homes by adding Epsom salts, but you can also come to iFloat and you can experience the weightlessness of feeling like you're in the Dead Sea. And another question people ask me is, do I get my own room? And yes, you do. You get your own private room with your own shower. You get everything in the room except a hairbrush. I don't supply hairbrushes. So earplugs, towels, you just bring yourself with your hairbrush. Also, people will ask me about bathing suits. Bathing suits are optional because you're in your own room. And another reason being, you're in your own pot in your own room, but magnesium soaks through the skin as you float. So if you have a bathing suit or clothes on top of that, it stops the transdermal absorption of the Epsom salts, which are the benefits why you want to be there. Another question people will ask me is, do I have to float in the dark? And no, you don't. Our rooms have controls in the pods that you can turn the on and off the light as you please. You can have complete darkness, or you can have lights, and you can also have music if you want to have something comforting to listen to, or you can turn the music off. You can leave the door cracked open if you happen to be claustrophobic. Another thing is our rooms are soundproof. So we have made sure that when you are floating, you don't hear other showers, that the room is very comforting and quiet. The last thing is floating is good for our skin. So Epsom salts naturally soothes and softens the skin. And that's why when you tank, you almost feel like you have oil on your skin. And that's the Epsom salts and the magnesium soaking into your skin to rejuvenate and make it soft. The last slide. So let's look at the 10 benefits of floating. Improving your sleep. So the magnesium helps with sleep. Stress relief and treating the stress-related illness. So when you have a lot of stress, you create a lot of cortisol in your body. So and when we're on high alert all the time with stress, we create cortisol, which causes inflammation in our body. So releasing that and getting a chance to unplug completely, kind of think about it like rebooting your computer. If you unplug your computer or reboot it, you get new a new set on life. Like you wake up and you feel energetic and you feel ready to take on the world. It also is really good for treating fibromyalgia. Fibromyalgia is something that You have up and down days. So the Epsom salts and the chance to be weightless really helps that. Pain relief, definitely. I've had many, many people come in and I'm amazed, but they come out after the first float and say, wow, my back doesn't hurt anymore. It's not a magic pill. However, some people, just to get that hour of relief is amazing for them because they're on so many medications. Reduced anxiety, meaning that when we get a chance to reboot our brain, and it's almost like our brain needs rest as well to bring in new information, new ideas, and new cells. Better skin, definitely. You always feel better when you get out of the tank, and I have really nice creams as well to put on your skin after you shower. Restoring healthier hair. A big one. One thing I see in our business at the moment is a lot of people are losing a lot of hair, and that in itself can be from lack of magnesium. You get a break from your phone. Wow, we all need that one. So we ask that you turn off phones when you come into our spa and you have complete quiet and nobody, no phones or no ringers are on. And then overcoming addiction. So I think I covered everything. So create that experience in your home if you can't get to iFloat. Use the Epsom salts. Don't be skimpy on your Epsom salts. Put a good couple of cups and stay in there for 10 to 15 minutes. You can have some quiet music in your bathroom if you have that ability. Keep the water temperature like we talked about and enjoy bathing. And there's lots of research in Japan saying we'll live to be 110 if we do that. Anyway, thank you, and thanks for listening to my presentation.
Well, I didn't realize how much magnesium you really need. Apparently I need to take more, and apparently I need to take baths, or I can just come see you. The next person I want to have chat about those topics that we discussed would be Pauline. If there's anything more that you want to add to that?
Okay, sure. So that was so awesome. Thank you, Fidel, for that presentation. And it's so interesting how Catherine and Fidel and myself have these themes that are going across all three of us. It's a relaxation response that we're looking for. And it's the magnesium tanks, it's the music, it's that light massage that is allowing our body to experience relaxation. And so Brianna had given us these topics ahead of time to say, how does your business speak to this? And so that was great. And so the importance of social media breaks. And for myself, with the rewired learning, talking about posture and voice, our voice is most beneficial to our body, to our brain, when we have good posture. And when we're using our social media, like we're doing the head tilt and even like using the mouse and so on. And what I had found even while I was doing a lot of online learning was that I developed inflammation in my arm, even some lumps in my hand. And as soon as I was, how did this happen? And it's the vibration of the significant for me to embrace rewired learning and say, I have to get this out there for more people. So really be careful with your social media usage in terms of what it does to your posture. Just even taking breaks, they say we hold our breath when we're sending an email. Think about that, like really listen to your body. And if you wear a Fitbit, or if you track your heart rate variability with another form of biofeedback, it gives you a sense of what is my body telling me. And so when we embrace a breathing practice, which again supports voice, is if we can sing when we have a greater depth to our breath, we have a larger lung capacity to deal with whatever infections are coming our way. Basically, so with that breath, we can lower our heart rate as well, which activates our rest and digest system, our parasympathetic system. And when we have our parasympathetic system engaged, we have less pain. So this vagus nerve that's going through our neck, we can stimulate it with our hands. We can bring massage going on, okay, to the body, all of those things. So social media, the next was the diet, healthy diet. What I was picking up with Rewired Learning is, again, what I've become of is when you activate your vagus nerve, you're releasing enzymes in your stomach to break down the food. So that music that's coming in and relaxing you is actually a digestion process. So it's doing what our bodies are supposed to do. The sleep, when you go through a regular breathing practice, taking time to slow down your breath, then that continues when you're sleeping. And we all need deep sleep because that's when our breath is the slowest and when the body can heal itself. So those were some things that came to mind to me with the topics that Brianna had suggested.
Awesome. There's definitely the topics don't
Okay.
essentially, yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to add there, or you're cutting in and out?
Sorry, my internet's going in and out. Nope, I think that's good for now.
Okay. So I know the topics didn't essentially apply to every single one of you, but I know some apply to more of one person in one business more than the other. So that's why I kind of wanted to have a little bit of a wide range. So if there's something that applies to you more than it would apply, one topic apply to one person, maybe that's maybe you need to see Fidel, or maybe like for me, probably I most likely maybe need to see Fidel. And maybe Catherine, depending if I pull the muscle or my calf is dying, then I definitely want to see Catherine. So again, it all depends on your needs, and that's why I kind of wanted to have a little bit of a wide variety. So depending on what you need, that's why I have these three experts here to help kind of understand that. So Catherine, would you like to chat a little bit more about those topics and a little bit more about your business and how how they would help every or certain individuals?
Yep, you bet.
Actually, before you get going, because I keep forgetting to mention, if hopes everyone stays on, Fidel has offered a free float, and we'll do a draw at the very end. Also too, Catherine, she has also offered a free session with herself, and I think I'm right, everyone who is on here is more than welcome to take advantage of Pauline's info session. I can't, what was it again, Pauline? Sorry, I forget. Info session?
Consultation.
Yeah, just
Consultation.
a free consultation.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Yes, so free consultation. So I will do a draw at the very end after questions. So sorry, Catherine, go right ahead.
That's okay. So Pauline kind of talked a little bit about some really good things, and there's things that we do every day that affect our bodies, men especially, that carry their wallets in their back pocket and sit on them. It creates a curve in your spine. It puts your body out of whack for sure. Women, us carrying our purses, we get these heavy purses. So we're like this, walking in the mall for hours and hours. Sitting at a desk or driving, we all get those rounded shoulders, which creates short muscles in one area, long muscles in the other. Creates a forward head, which puts an extra 10 or 20 pounds going forward and pulling muscles. Even when we're laying in bed and watching TV and we've got the pillow up behind our head and we're watching TV, our neck is all not where it's supposed to be. Holding the phone and talking, those kind of things are all things that we should be aware of when we're doing our everyday tasks in our life. So some of the things that Bowen has, we don't cure any diseases, but things that it has helped with is things like concussion, whiplash, plantar fasciitis, backaches, knees, migraines, all those kinds of things that bone and myofascial or myoskeletal therapy can help with. But some of the things that I always discuss with my clients, besides those everyday things like crossing our legs, that kind of thing, is that we also need to watch our diet, because our diet plays a big part on our bodies. And we are what we eat, right? So we must eat good food to promote energy and clear mental function and defense against disease. I always recommend beets. Beets are so good for us. They are full of vitamins and minerals that we lack in our body, folic acid, iron. So beets can help detox the body, improve your mental health and your stress. They're anti-inflammatory, they boost your energy, they have anti-aging properties, and wouldn't we all like that? It's an oxygen booster, and there's like a long list of how beets can help you. The other thing that I always say is, you have to drink water. Our systems, our bodies are made of a lot of water, so you need the water and the nourishment in your muscles and tendons so that everything flows nicely and moves nicely in a track like this. So the only thing that I can kind of compare it to is, if you remember as a kid trying to go down a slide that was dry, and you keep going and it kind of hurt. That's kind of the same idea of what your muscles and your tendons do if they aren't nourished with water. And the thing I like to recommend mostly is lemon water, because lemon, again, is so good for the body. It combats dehydration, which, again, what I was talking about with the muscles. It energizes the body. It stimulates the digestive system. It also detoxifies the body. It helps in weight loss, and it boosts the immune system and helps to relieve inflammation. So those are my two key things that I always recommend to my clients. And here's a little idea of what happens when we sit at a desk or we drive, and how your head, it's actually 42 pounds when you get your head going down and forward. I also recommend taking social media breaks. So important to, take a walk, have a bath, listen to music. These are all things that our body needs. And those are my recommendations to help you have a stress-free, less anxiety day.
Awesome. That was fantastic. Does anyone here have any questions at all? This is your chance to ask all the questions in the world. You've got 3 people right here. You don't just get one opinion, you get 3. If you want to add them in the chat box, or you can just unmute yourself and you can just ask. I guess there's no questions. Oh, did you have
Brianna?
one?
Oh, here.
There we go.
Okay.
I have,
Oh, go ahead.
Just wondering about
yeah, so Dawn
the
was asking me,
are you talking about the Starter Company Plus program that the Small Business Center offers? Application specialty to small business owners. Can you explain a little bit more to me? The title of the workshop was for small business owners.
Oh, I get it. I get the question.
Oh, it's for you.
No, it's not for me. I just get the question.
Oh, okay.
It's how do what all the 3 speakers shared apply to us as small business owners is the question.
Okay, I see. So usually I have found with here at the Small Business Center, a lot of businesses have came to us when they're very stressed, they're confused, there's a lot has been going on since this whole COVID-19 pandemic has started, and there have been more businesses stressed, business owners that are stressed. And these three ladies have put together some great information to help with reducing your stress. So that is essentially why I had these three ladies. I have been, my parents own their own business. They've been in business for 30 years. And I've personally seen it on them. They're a very successful business. They have two businesses, one here in Belleville and one in Kingston. I have seen the level of stress that's put on them. And I can only imagine some of the businesses that did not have help or didn't have a support from another, from either, you know, a second person to help them. The reason why I put this together was for having these three ladies to help reduce some of that stress that you have. So I'm hoping this
Anna,
helped.
can I add to that question? So during COVID, of course, we all had to shut down, but I found that during the week when I was hitting the wall, I was run out of energy, I was run out of ideas, I was run out of steam, I was run out of patience, I was irritable. When I would go and do some self-care, and it's any one of these, not only mine, but when I took an hour for myself, I came out of the tank feeling more energized, but also ready to take COVID on again. Because I think we start to get discouraged and we start to think there's no way I'm going to make it through this. So positive thinking when you're in the tank or you're with Pauline or Catherine, the positive thinking and giving yourself that break and giving your permission to have a break. I found that I was going 10 to 12 hours, and by the end of the day, I was exhausted. And that's when you're not good to anyone if your glass is half full. So I think that's where what we're talking about is take time for yourself, for self-care.
Yes, I have to agree with that. And it also, as a small business owner myself, I know that with COVID, I've been quite stressed and my mind has been going, and it's very nice to know what the options are out there to help me get some self-care, like the iFloat or the sound therapy. Besides doing what I do, because I can't give Bowen to myself. So I have to find another option where I can get some help so that my mind is in the right place to keep my business going and not get depressed and sink into a hole, and be happy and, you know, continue looking on to doing some more marketing and stuff like that to help and be helpful to my clients as well, right?
So I believe this was going to be for you, Fidel. My question is about salts. A doctor recommended table salt for disinfecting a wound because of the iodine thoughts.
So what is the question?
It's in the chat here.
Hi,
Doctor
it's Chantal.
Oh,
So
Chantal.
there's one of my kids has got ingrown toenails. So we saw a doctor for it recently, and the doctor recommended using table salts instead of Epsom salts to help disinfect it because of the iodine. So what are your thoughts about using table salt over Epsom salts over the magnesium salts that you were talking about?
So we don't need as much iodine in our system as we do magnesium. Magnesium is so much more, it plays a role in a lot more than iodine does. So table salt, if you were to put table salt in your bath, it won't hurt you, but you wouldn't get the benefit of the magnesium that's so important for 300 biochemical reactions in our body. The iodine probably because iodine is, you know, when you go to the doctor, they always put iodine over top as a disinfectant. Being an ingrown toenail, probably that's why, because the iodine is for the disinfection of that wound, and then the salt will heal. But table salt's good too. But I mean, magnesium is one of the things that we don't get in our soil as we used to. Thinking even 50 years ago, a cup of spinach, that's all you had to eat was a cup. Now you have to eat about 42 cups to get the same amount of magnesium. So that's just an example.
Wow.
Did I answer that?
Yeah, that's wonderful. I loved your answer. I really enjoyed the session. I have to cut out now because I have other stuff coming up. So thank you very much for putting this on Small Business Center. Thank you everybody for sharing your ideas. Have a great day.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any other questions? If not, we're going to do a draw. I have everyone's email, so if you are not here, then I'll just do, I'll just send you an email, let you know that you won. All right, we'll do Fidel first.
So just say bye.
I'm going to do the draw first.
Oh, okay.
I'm recording this right now, so I'm not lying and I'm not giving it to someone else.
I float.
It's going to be Olga. Olga? I don't know how to say your last name. I'll butcher it. So I will send you an email and let you know, and I'll get you connected with Fidel here, okay?
Yep. So just Olga, just call and I'll book you in whenever you're ready.
All right. And now Catherine's turn. Lily. So you won a session with Catherine.
Congratulations, Lily. I just seen that Dawn had made a comment here, and I just wanted to touch base on that in regards to her jaw. So we hold a lot of stress in our jaw, as you know, and the three of us, any one of us you could come to that is going, it will help you release some of that tension in your jaw, either through the therapy that I do, either through the float or through moving your mouth through the sound therapy with some humming that Pauline may have some suggestions for in order to release all of the tension that's in your jaw. But any one of us would be able to help you with that.
Any other questions? All right. I think that's all.